Hey guys, how are you guys doing? How are you guys doing? So, I know it has been a minute. People should not chew me up in the comments. I know that. Because the last video that I posted, I saw some comments saying that Cynthia, you've forgotten about us. I have not forgotten about you guys, literally. It's just that I have content. I just don't have people to do it with. That's just what it is. My friends do not want to be on YouTube. Some of my friends don't want to be on YouTube, which is fine. It is understandable. YouTube is not for everyone, you know. So I kind of struggle with, okay, because the content that I have, they're like juicy topic that I want to do with people. I don't want to do it with myself. It's going to be boring. They're just a topic. I want to do it with my friends and stuff like that. But they don't want to be on YouTube, which is totally fine. So I'm coming up with ways where I can do this, like come up with this content or do these contents by myself without having to involve people. But then again, those who want to join me are going to join me. What we're doing now is working with people. What I'm doing now is trying to work with people who do want to come on YouTube to do the contents with me or to have a show with me. We're working with their schedule. So that's what I'm doing right now. But today, I thought about you guys. That was like, okay, I haven't posted something personal, or you guys haven't seen me in a while. The last video that I posted was a video of my friend's wedding. So I wanted to have more of an intimate video today. But today I'm actually running up with work and I'm going to be cooking. Guess what I'm cooking? So I'm cooking egusi soup with stew. And you guys already know. One of my favorite dish, or one of my favorite Nigerian meal, soup wise, is egusi and okra. Like egusi and okra is my go-to, but I'm going to be making egusi today. And I'm just gonna start with boiling the meat first. So that's what I'm about to do right now. So how have you guys been? It's been a minute. What has been happening? How is work? If you're a married woman, how is the family? If you're a married man, how is the family? How are the kids? Whatever it is, how is everyone doing? Like, let me know in the comments how everyone is doing today. Okay? So I'm gonna start. What I have here is tribe and goat meat. I am going to wash them first before going ahead to and then wash them and cook them. And I'm not a fan of stockfish, but I'm gonna add stockfish today in the egusi and just that. I'm not gonna add it to my stew.
Say what you wanna say to me now. I wanna wake up with you in the morning. Show me there's nothing fake to me now. I wanna wake up with you in the morning. Say what you wanna say to me now. I wanna wake up with you in the morning. Show me there's nothing fake to me now. I wanna wake up with you in the morning. Turn this room, turn it to an ocean. Let me float around. Eyes closed, like we're dreaming even when we're not. You and me got a whole other meaning, I don't know how. You and me just know how it feels when we're falling in love. Say what you wanna say to me now. I wanna wake up with you in the morning. Show me there's nothing fake to me now. I wanna wake up with you in the morning. Say what you wanna say to me now. I wanna wake up with you in the morning. Show me there's nothing.
One reason why I don't like stockfish is because it stinks or it smells. I don't like how it smells. And the smell takes over the whole house. That's one reason I don't like it. I never liked it as a child and I still don't like it. But I just like the flavor it gives to your food. I'm going to actually tell a story time. I remember a couple months ago when I posted a video. I can't remember what video I posted. Some of you guys asked me, or I think, yeah, some of you guys asked me to tell a story or talk about tech, how I got into the IT field. So while we're waiting for the meat to cook, I'm going to talk about how I got into IT. So I have been in the IT field for now, for 5 years now. I've been in the IT field for 5 years, and this is how I got into IT. First of all, I've always known about the IT world, cyber, whatever it is. I've always known about it, but I never wanted to do it because I thought IT was all about. And when I say IT, I'm talking about information technology. I thought it was all about math, and if you know me, you know I hate math. I'm not a math person. I'm not a math girl. Ask me common things about the additions, multiplications, subtractions, divisions. Those little things, the little equations, I will do for you. But anything hard, forget about it. I hate math so much that when I was in school, getting my undergrad, doing my undergrad, I needed to take math before I graduate, and that class, it took me forever to take the math class, and that was the only course that was remaining for me to take to graduate. I don't like math. But of course I have to take the math class for me to graduate, but I'm just letting you guys know how much I hate math. So I thought it was all about math, calculating, all that hard stuff. That was what I thought about tech, IT. But at that time, my sister's friend who took a IT class told my sister about, because at that time tech was booming. Like 5 years ago, tech was booming. The IT world was booming. Even before then, it has been booming. But that was when I actually got to find out that IT is not all about math. IT is a broad field, and there are different sections or domains you can go in when it comes to IT. So what I did was I took and I was just about to graduate with my undergrad. So I was like, okay, you know what? I'm still going to continue with my undergrad, but let me try this class. So the person, my sister's friend who took one IT class, cybersecurity class, the person he took it with, he told me about the guy, and I called the guy and I took the class, and the class was for like 4 months. It was it was like I almost gave up. I remember when I started taking the class, I remember midway through the class, I started crying. Like, what did I put myself into? I was crying and nervous at the same time because the class I was interested in the class, going to know the different type of domain you can go into IT, and I got so interested, but at the same time I was so nervous. There was this particular topic that got my attention, and for some reason I was having difficulties with it, and it was risk management in general. And I was like, I stayed up. I remember calling my sister crying, like, I want to do this, but this part of the class is giving me a hard time. I don't know if I can continue it. I think I want to just stop. My sister was like, don't stop. You've already started. Go through it. And the person who taught the class, we'll call him Professor, he is so intelligent. He's very knowledgeable, and he has the experience. He has been in the field for the longest time. And the thing about it is that when I started the class, one thing about me, I'm such a playful person that wherever I am, you're going to know me. You're going to know who Cynthia is. I was very, very grateful and blessed to have a teacher like that to teach me or teach my class. And till to this day, he still teaches. And his class, he has a school now, and the school is always packed. I would say 90% of his students are very successful. There's no way you would go to his class and not have a job, unless you just don't want to have a job. 90% of the students in his class are successful. They're doing well in the IT field. So I took the class, I got to understand about risk management, and when I got an understanding of it, and that was it. Now, going through the class, and getting your certifications and now having to interview for jobs are two different things, or three. They are totally different. I went for the class and that was it. So it's time for me to start taking job interviews. It took me forever. It took me forever to be very confident in myself to take a job interview. This was before the pandemic, right? So at that time, there was no virtual interviews. You have to go in person to take your interviews. I would apply for jobs and they would call me for an interview. Like they would do it like a phone screen with you. Phone screen is easy. You know, you're probably going through the things that you wrote down to practice with. You're going through that, and then if they like you, they will call you for an in-person interview. When it's time for an in-person interview, I won't go. I would not go. I'll come up with different excuses like I don't feel well. This happened. I'm not interested in the job anymore. I got another job offer. I was so scared to go for an in-person interview. I did this for like months. I did this for months. I didn't want to go for a job interview. However, I got an entry level job in IT, which was like was help desk and whatever. So the interview wasn't really hard to go through. I got that, and at the same time, I was trying to I wanted to get into cyber because that was the whole reason why I took the class anyway. My interest was in cyber, so I was still taking interviews. So there was something that happened in my life. I'm not going to mention it to them, but my close friends know. If they watch this video, they know what I'm talking about. Something happened in my life where I needed, that pushed me to go for that in-person interview. So with this company per se, I'd already done the phone interview, and now all right, sorry about that, guys. Something happened. The stove, the pot was overrunning, so I had to take care of that. So like I was saying, something happened in my life that I had something happened in my life that pushed me to go for that in-person interview. Now this company, I had a phone interview with them already, and they were like, okay, come on in, let's have a in-person interview. We'd like to talk to you and see you. Hey. I was so nervous and scared to go for the in-person interview. And my professor who told me the cyber, I told him about it. He was like, Cynthia, what are you doing? What are you doing? What was the whole reason for you to take this class and not get a job? Like, you're gonna waste your money. Go for the in-person interview. Even though you don't get the job, at least that's an experience. You know, you have had an experience of how they conduct their interviews. And I was like, well, it's not gonna be one person that will be interviewing me. To be three people. But like, it doesn't matter. That's a panel interview. Sometimes you get that. Sometimes if you're lucky enough, you get one person interviewing you. Just go to the interview, know the questions that they are asking, use that to practice going forward. So after speaking to him, I was like, okay, I'll go. But then I was like, no, I'm not going. Mind you, this was like 2 weeks before the in-person interview. So something happened in my life, and after that experience, I was like, oh my goodness, no, I don't want to ever experience this. Like, what just happened to me, I don't want to ever experience this anymore. It was so embarrassing. I spoke to my friend on the phone about it. I was crying. I was like, nah, man, this cannot happen to me. Mind you, now, when this thing happened, it was like 2 or 3 days before the in-person interview. I was like, no, this cannot happen to me anymore. Like, you know what? I'm going for this interview. And when I tell you guys that I practice for possible questions that they may ask me, like, I was so confident with myself. I prayed to God, like, God, take control. Like, I'm about to go for this interview. I don't know what questions they're going to ask me. I don't have the experience, but please, because I'm going to this interview as someone who has an experience in this field already. Please take control, you know. I've practiced for this job interview. The location of this interview, excuse me, company, was 1 hour away from me. 1 hour, excuse me, guys. Hey, so it was 1 hour away from where I live. I did not care. This job was 1 hour away from where I live, or where I lived at the time. I did not care. I got in my car. I went for the interview. Interview was 10 a.m. in the morning. 6 a.m. I was already up. I couldn't even sleep that whole night because my mind was on it. I could not sleep. I was praying, God, please, let your will be done. Let your will be done. I drove to the interview. And mind you guys, this was my first in-person interview. I have been taking interviews on the phone, doing screenings and stuff, but I have never gone for an in-person interview. I got to the place and I was welcomed by the manager, and he escorted me to the room where we're going to be having the interview. I was expecting 3 people, but it was him and another person that interviewed me. A VP and director actually interviewed me. First of all, the name scared me. The names, their title scared the crap out of me. I was like, they're about to finish me with questions, but I was so calm. And when the interview started, I was the one asking them questions. It was like I was the one interviewing them when the interview started. And I remember the director saying that, slow down, we're the interviewers here, you're the interviewee. And we started laughing because I was just bombarding them with questions, like giving them. Because I remember my professor told us that when you go for an interview, right, you can control the interview on how, like, you can control the interview of how you want them to ask you questions. You know, once you control the interview, they'll be asking you questions based on what you're saying or answering. I was asking them questions. Whatever questions they asked me, I give it to them. Whatever questions they asked me, I give it to them. I was so confident in myself. You would think that I've been in the field for like 10 years plus. That was how much the nervousness left my body. And I was so comfortable with them. And after the interview lasted for maybe 40 minutes. After the interview, the director showed me around the environments, like the office area and where like the cyber analysts are, where the cyber analysts stay in the building. I already knew I got that job. I left that and after that he was like, okay, and I asked him what's the next step. He was like, well, we'll get back to you, you know. I said, okay, thank you. But before I left that place, I already knew that I got the job because everything was just so, it was too good to be true. It was smooth. Everything went well. All the questions they asked, I answered them. And the fact that I asked them questions that they were already thinking about implementing in the company, and I asked them a question like that, you know. So that was it. After the interview, that was it. I went home, and I think a week later, I didn't hear from them. A week later, I reached out to the recruiter because it was a direct hire, so it wasn't like I went through a recruiter, but with the recruiter from the company. I reached out to the recruiter, and the recruiter said that they're going to get back to me. They're still interviewing people. So, okay, cool. At this point, I was already losing faith. I was like, they have seen somebody better. They're not going to hire me, nothing like that. Till I got a call from the recruiter telling me, congratulations, Cynthia. We have decided to offer you the job. I was so happy. Like, I was jumping for joy. I remember calling my sister, dad, they crying, like, oh my goodness, I did it. Called my mom, called my dad. I was on the phone crying, like, I did it. Like, I have finally entered the cyber world. And that was how it was. But that's not it, though. It took like a month. It took like a month before I was actually offered, given a written offer letter. Because it's one thing to be offered a job verbally, it's another thing to be offered the job in writing. You know, if you don't get the offer letter, it's nothing. You have to make sure you get the offer letter. So it took a month before I got it, and at first I thought maybe something happened. They decided not to give me the job anymore. When I reached out to the recruiter, he would tell me, you know, everything is okay. We're just going through our budgets, you know, budgeting and stuff like that. So I would Google, like, what happens if you were offered a job verbally but haven't received the offer letter. I got stuff like they might be going through their budgets, or they may decide not to offer the job anymore because their budget does not allow them to give that job out, or whatever it is. So all this stuff I was saying on the internet made me so scared, that got me nervous, like, oh my goodness, I may not get this job anymore, until I actually got the offer letter and I started working, and that was my first job in IT. And it was a good experience. With the only thing I can say is that, it's okay to be nervous, it's okay to be scared, because this is something you're not used to. So you're not sure about the questions that they're gonna ask you. But as far as you put yourself in the midst of everything, try to get to like my professor would say, even though you don't get the job, it's not the end of everything. But get to know the type of questions that they are asking. You can use that question to learn for your other interviews, And even though at the end of the day it's just an interview, they're not going to beat you. It's either they give you the job or they don't give you the job. It's a yes or no. I know that it's easier said than done, especially when you really want this thing and you have to go through. It's very nerve-wracking sitting down in front of people and then they're asking you questions. Even till now, when I do job interviews, I still get nervous taking job interviews. It's normal. I still get nervous because at the end of the day, you never know what questions they're going to ask you, You don't know if you're going to get the job or not. I still get nervous when I take job interviews, but it's just the fact that just be confident in yourself. Know that when I want to take this interview, if I'm going to take this interview, it's either they give it to me or they don't give it to me. And if they don't, on to the next one. And if they do, thank God. Regardless if they don't give you the interview, still thank God, because the job if the job is for you, you're going to get it. So in terms of certifications, I do have certifications. I have some cyber certs, and yeah, and that's it. And that's actually how I got into cyber. So I cooked with this oil yesterday, and yes, I'm going to reuse my oil. I used a fried plantain yesterday, and it's still clean, so I will reuse my oil.
Say what you wanna say to me now. I wanna wake up with you in the morning. Show me there's nothing fake to me now. I wanna wake up with you in the morning. Say what you wanna say to me now. I wanna wake up with you in the morning. Show me there's nothing fake to me now. I wanna wake up with you in the morning. Turn this room, turn it to an ocean. Let me float around. Eyes closed, like we're dreaming even when we're not. You and me got a whole other meaning, I don't know how. You and me just know how it feels when we're falling in love. Say what you wanna say to me now. I wanna wake up with you in the morning.
Okay guys, I'm gonna start making the egusi soup. The white rice, I said white rice. Well, white rice and the stew is almost cooked. So what I usually do when I want to make egusi soup is I mix the egusi with my with the crayfish, and then I add a little bit of warm water to mix them together. That way, when it's time, I can just put it in the fry it first with the red oil or palm oil. We're gonna mix. I need to add more water.
Say what you wanna say to me now. I wanna wake up with you in the morning. Show me there's nothing fake to me now. I wanna wake up with you in the morning. Say what you wanna say to me now. I wanna wake up with you in the morning. fake to me now. I wanna wake up with you in the morning. Say what you wanna say to me now. I wanna wake up with you in the morning. Show me there's nothing fake to me now. I wanna wake up with you in the morning. Like we can do nothing at all. So what? If you're stupid, then you know there's nothing wrong.
Let
You
it
and
fry
me got a
before it
whole
goes
other
in.
meaning, I don't know how. You and me just know how it feels when we're falling in love. Say what you wanna say to me now. I wanna wake up with you in the morning. Show me there's nothing fake to me now. I wanna wake up with you in the morning. Say what you wanna say to me now. I wanna wake up with you in the morning. Show me there's nothing fake to me now. I wanna wake up with you in the morning. Show me there's nothing fake to me now. I wanna wake up with you in the morning.
Alright guys, so I am done cooking for the day. Stew and egusi. I'm not
Say what you wanna say to me now. I wanna wake up with you in the morning. Show me there's nothing fake to me now. I wanna wake up with you in the morning. Say what you wanna say to me now.
Okay guys, I am done cooking for the day. Thank you for spending the day with me. Please be in touch and I will be in touch as well. I hope everyone have an amazing week and have
Say